we see in clients that have lower back pain is one hip higher than the other, so a hip height discrepancy. Basically the way we measure it, you come down behind your client, you sort of have to dig in a little bit, push around, eventually you find yourself on the top of these hip bones here. So you sort of want to stand behind, line it up, so I'd actually say this right hip actually appears to be a little bit higher on this one, Kelly our skeleton, so he'd actually be a prime candidate for someone to develop sacroiliac joint issues, so basically all the ligamentous tissue in through here. If you've got one hip higher than the other, and it roughly sort of look like that basically, sometimes they can be up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters. Sometimes the client is aware of it, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they realize that they're sort of standing there like that, or they might find that they're always sort of clawing at the ground to try and actually get their feet to touch the ground. Basically that's because, yeah, one hip's higher than the other, so they've essentially created a bit of a leg length difference, or something that feels like a leg length difference to them. The sort of issues that can cause is uneven loading or uneven distribution of weight through all of these little intervertebral discs here, so these clear little discs. You also see this red jelly bean on the side here. I'll just grab a different spinal model. So looking at the spine here, you see this little red jelly bean here, so that's not meant to be there. That is there because that's a herniated disc basically, bulging prolapse herniation. They're all variations of the same thing basically. So that can be caused by having one of these hips too high, so you've got too much pressure or an uneven distribution of weight, so you've got too much pressure going up all these insides. So you've got these parts being squeezed and squashed, and potentially you can squeeze a little bit of that intervertebral disc fluid out, and then you can have gapping on these sides here. So that's not so much of an issue. This is quite a significant issue. Just because there's no pain there doesn't mean there's not a dysfunction there or not something that's worth looking into. Pain typically is a pretty poor sign of dysfunction. So you don't want to wait until there is pain to actually address the problem. If you're going to walk around with your hip like this for 10 years, you're definitely going to sort of put an uneven amount of wear on these discs here. So even though it might not have hurt, the damage has already been done, and by the time it does start to hurt, the disc may well be worn away to the point where there's not much we can really do about it. We can't put that back there. Once it's worn away, it's worn away. It's gone for good. It doesn't really regenerate or regrow or anything like that. A couple of things that I've seen in the clinic in the last, or just even the last year just been, is people injuring their back or their SI joints, again these joints through here and through there, from deadlifting. So you can be the best lifter in the world, you can have the best spotter in the world, your form can be impeccable, you know, it can all look great, but if you're bending down and your hips like that, when you go to pull that weight off the ground, it's not going to be an even distribution of weight, and it's going to go all the way through your spine, and often it's going to end up with the worst part of it being in here. So often people have, when they have lower back pain, they'll sort of be able to locate those two bumps on the back of the pelvis. So that's generally these two here and here, and usually the pain's just on the inside of that. So it's not going to be helped by having one hip higher than the other. So there's certain stretches that we can do for the muscles in and around the hip here that can help drop that down. It's things that people can go home and do, or we can do it here for them. We've got a whole bunch of other techniques that we can do to release that tissue and work through here, but step one is sort of taking the load off of this and making sure that this doesn't get any worse, is dropping this hip down and making sure it's even, so we have an even distribution of force through the whole spine. Even distribution of force through all the muscles. If you don't have that even force distribution, you're just going to make your muscular imbalances worse. So the stronger you get, the worse you're going to make it. And yeah, maybe when you're only pulling 20 kilos off the ground, you can get away with it. But when you're pulling, 100 plus kilos, or even, it doesn't even have to be that, it can be quite an insignificant amount of weight. But as the weight goes up, the risk also goes up. And if you're not perfectly aligned and distributing that force evenly, then the chance of having a disc-related injury or damaging this connective tissue through the back is greatly increased.